Alright, so why Jiu Jitsu? As I mentioned in the previous video, I'm going to make a second part, and this is more about like responding to people's excuses why they can't do Jiu Jitsu. So, the first one, a decent excuse not to train in Jiu Jitsu could be that you want to train a different martial art. And I'll agree, training something is definitely better than training nothing. But all things considered, Jiu-Jitsu is definitely the best option. And this is coming from a guy, like, I've done martial arts my whole life. I grew up a little bit of boxing. I did Taekwondo for many years. My dad still owns a Taekwondo gym academy. I got my black belt in Taekwondo. I did judo. I only got a yellow belt, but definitely like was higher level than yellow belt in judo. Boxing, I've done a handful of Muay Thai classes, which wasn't that like different if you've like grown up doing Taekwondo. So mostly kicks, and I already had some experience in boxing. And then obviously you do some wrestling when you do Jiu-Jitsu a lot. But all things considered, Jiu-Jitsu is definitely going to be the best option. One of those reasons is like the longevity on your body and your brain. So in Jiu-Jitsu, we don't use any blunt force. There's no striking. We're not punching each other in the head or kicking each other in the head. So you save all that brain damage, the concussions and things like that, where a strike in martial art, it's going to happen. And we do takedowns in Jiu-Jitsu, but Jiu-Jitsu is like, I don't know, infamous, you could say, but it's definitely changing now with like ADCC and stuff like that. But we're known for not having the best takedowns. But part of that is like the health purposes of it. Like obviously at the higher level competitive, you need takedowns. I'm not arguing that, but we're talking more of like the setting for your average person who should just be training jiu-jitsu as just part of their life, part of their lifestyle. But the takedown aspect, like wrestling and judo, like they're high impact. They're a lot of times they're big throws where you get airborne and then crash down. So that can injure your body or give you concussions. Like most wrestlers that like high school wrestling, those kids get concussions all the time. It's pretty normal. So outside of like a freak incident, you don't typically see that in jiu-jitsu. And then when it comes to like that high impact stuff, that's the main reason like why I would say jiu-jitsu is the best martial art to do if you're only going to do one martial art. I think it encompasses the most of everything. Like if you're fighting your normal average scenario, a regular person, I'm not talking MMA or competition, but a regular person gets in a street fight, almost every fight ends up on the ground anyways. Jiu-jitsu is the best on the ground. Like sure, wrestlers can control you and hold you, but we're talking one sport. If you can only do one sport, they can't finish you. They can just kind of pin you down and hold you, where we can actually finish it. We can put someone to sleep, or if we need to, we could break a joint, break an arm, break an elbow, and like that's going to stop someone from fighting you almost always. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this little blurb in here. This isn't my videos, my content dealing with the YouTube growth stuff, but I'm still early in the phase of getting into this YouTube stuff. So one of the biggest things keep getting told by critiques from my friends that have been watching is to look at the camera more. So I'm trying to look off, figure out what I gotta say, and then look back at the camera. So in the future, this won't be an issue because I'll be editing and cut that stuff out. But for this video, because I'm not there yet, you just get to see both sides of it, and this will be part of that journey in the future. But okay, back to what I was talking about. So jiu-jitsu versus other martial arts. And so another reason jiu-jitsu is better is it's the most humane, like when needed. So for those same exact reasons that it's the best longevity-wise, is the same reason it's more humane. So if I get in a fight in the street, let's say someone's drunk or something, or what, it doesn't even matter what the case is, I can control them and stop them from doing anything to me. If I really need to, I can put them to sleep. Everything's done. I didn't have to like bash their head in. I didn't have to break their nose. I didn't have to break a joint or a limb. But we do have that ability to do that. If you're training Muay Thai and that's all you know to defend yourself, then your response is a KO. You're just going to knock the guy out. So in that sense, it's more humane if you have to use it. We could just put someone to sleep, or not even that. You can literally just take someone down, mount them, and hold them there. There was a few years back, there was a famous, it went viral, little video clip where Matt Serra, former UFC champion, super high-level jiu-jitsu guy, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for probably close to 30 years now at this point, but he got in a real altercation at a place with some fat drunk guy, and so this guy's like drunk and obviously has never really been in fights before, doesn't know how to fight. So he's doing everything he can, screaming and threatening, super pissed, trying to stop Matt Serra. And Matt Serra is literally sitting on his chest, holding his wrist, saying, calm down, you're fine, calm down. Like in that situation, a situation where most people are going to be freaking out. But obviously he's done MMA at the highest level, he's been a UFC champ, but it's just super easy. It was literally, like I said before, taking candy from a baby. So, humane. It's humane. And the longevity, back to, I missed this point with the longevity stuff, is you'll see old people on the mats. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say you're going to see some 60-year-old out there beating up a 30-year-old or something like that. But the point is, this is why everyone should be training jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying why everyone should be an elite level world champion at jiu-jitsu. You should just be training jiu-jitsu. So it's very common you see older people on the mat, 60s, 70s. Like there's viral videos of these like 70-year-old people getting their black belts. There's BJJ Betty. She got her black belt on the podium at Master Worlds, and she's like in her 60s. And I started with her, like she started where I was at the time, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, as a day one white belt. Like, crazy anxiety. This video would have been good for her. Well, the previous video about the videos about getting started with jiu-jitsu, because she had crazy anxiety, couldn't even walk in on the mat, couldn't even walk into the building at first, and then now she's like a 60-plus-year-old black belt, and she went super viral. Like Joe Rogan pulled her up and talked about her, and that she was from Wilmington, North Carolina at the time, training. I was giving her privates. I was a purple belt giving this lady privates, and now she's a black belt. But yeah, so you don't see many older people doing like judo or wrestling, and you do see them sometimes, but it's typically either they're teaching or the other person is clearly, they're just moving around, moving through motions. They're not actually rolling and trying to win, which is a little similar with jiu-jitsu, but it's just a little more like realistic in jiu-jitsu, I find. And then along with the realistic part is if you do get in a street fight, it's super common to break your hand punching someone in the head, especially when elbows and knees are flying and your adrenaline's pumping, you hit somebody the wrong place on the head, you break your hand. But jiu-jitsu, you just get a takedown, and then it's all downhill for them from there. And then this is kind of like related, little side topic, but like jiu-jitsu versus other martial arts. So there's a bit of a debate in the martial art world, especially when it comes to MMA, if jiu-jitsu is real or if it still works. To me, this is such a stupid conversation. It makes no sense if you really think about it. Like, I get it. Like, jiu-jitsu is harder to do now. People are shutting it down and stopping it. But what does that mean? Does that mean they've never done jiu-jitsu before? No, that means they've done jiu-jitsu. Like, it's already been shown in the early UFCs that if you don't know any grappling, jiu-jitsu in particular, and you fight a jiu-jitsu guy, you're going to lose. Like, yes, there's the teeny tiny chance that you're going to knock them out on their takedown attempt, or they can't, or something like that. But the point is, more than likely, they're going to get the takedown. If you're an elite level striker, it's still very hard to knock someone out with one shot. And most people are not elite level. If you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu and you're fighting someone that has absolutely no grappling background, it's not hard to take them down. if you're a blue belt and you run into somebody who's done some wrestling and you can't take them down, it's not hard to try your takedown when you feel them stop it, and then you sit back, pull guard, and then, like, I'm not saying go to close guard like old school style, but there's plenty to do from there. If they know, we're saying this person knows zero jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu's always going to come out on top if it's one martial art. The only argument is mixed martial arts, and those are people who, they're not just shutting jiu-jitsu down for no reason. They've literally trained jiu-jitsu. They've learned jiu-jitsu. They're using jiu-jitsu to stop it. So to say, like, why is this, it doesn't work, is it pointless? Like, it's so stupid. They're literally using jiu-jitsu. They've studied and trained jiu-jitsu. All right, so that's the more of the jiu-jitsu versus another martial art kind of talk argument. And then now here are just the more common excuses that you're going to get from, like, a normal person. So age. A lot of people like to talk about their age, but as I just mentioned, there's like 70s, people in their 70s. I feel like there's probably, I've even heard of one 80-something-year-old achieving a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and there's lots of 60, 70-year-olds just getting started. It's not about you have to be competitive, you have to win, you have to look at this as you're going to go out and win a street fight if someone attacks you. That's not the only thing that you get out of jiu-jitsu, as mentioned in the previous video. So the getting too old thing, like, God, it's so stupid to me. I can't stand that. Like, I'm about to be 40. Yeah, it's a little different because I started when I was young and I built up along the way. And it is harder to start as you're older. But again, if you listen to this video and you actually implement the stuff that I'm saying, then you will be fine. You'll be fine. If age is your only reason why. That's not taking into account health and stuff like that. You just make sure you get a good academy. Like, I'm never gonna let, if some 50-year-old man came in here, and usually they'll tell you firsthand, like, hey man, I'm not trying to win, I just want to do jiu-jitsu. Like, they're basically saying, like, they don't want to get hurt. And I agree with that. I'm not gonna put him up with some 20-year-old Marine who's like got his first stripe on his belt and he's just going 100% with everybody. I'm not going to do that. That would be bad business. Old injuries. So another excuse I hear all the time is like a 40-year-old guy, he'll have his kid in here training and he'll be kind of like, the worst is not all of them do this, but they'll kind of like be getting on their kids and like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? As if it's so easy. But yeah, their fat ass isn't on the mat. And then you say something to them like, hey man, why don't you get out here? Why don't you try? Like, show your kid how it's done. And if it's that easy, they're like, oh, well, I got this injury, I got that injury. And almost all the time, it's just bullshit. Like, there's no way around it. Most of the time, it's just bullshit. It's laziness. It's a very good, convenient excuse that most people will just accept and be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You can't do it. But, like, publicly, like, I can't voice that, like, oh no, you're just a lazy fat piece of shit. I can't say that, even though that's how I genuinely feel. But I own a business, so obviously that wouldn't be good for business. But I'm not saying every single person with an old injury is full of shit. I'm saying most of these people, that's their excuse, they're full of shit. It should be a lifestyle. If you feel like shit and your injury hurts really bad, but yet you're eating fast food, drinking soda, getting drunk every night, like, the inflammation, like, you're not going to heal, it's going to feel worse. Like, that's the real problem. It's like, fix this and this won't be that big of an issue. It's just a convenient excuse for people to be lazy. But I'll probably have a whole separate video on those types of parents because that just bothers me. Again, it's more about the academy and yourself. If you do what you're supposed to do and then you find a good academy where the instructor's like half intelligent and like, I mean, the instructor should be looking out for the students. I've never understood that as the owner. I mean, I guess if you're not the owner, maybe you wouldn't care, but I am the owner, so I do care. And when I get to the point, and when I had other instructors previously, it was a thing to me. I said it to them. I had another instructor who, for whatever reason, he just didn't seem to understand that. He's not a stupid guy, but he didn't understand that. He'd still place like little women with big, fat, older guys that are new who have no technique. I don't know, separate story, separate video down the road. I'll get into that. Oh, but the other point I was going to say is, like, if you own the business and you hurt people, they quit. You lose that income. So even just from a business point of view, it's stupid. Next one, getting in shape first. So I hear this one all the time. Sometimes after someone takes a class or two, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll be back. I just need to get in shape first. I need to get in shape first so I can start jujitsu." I can't tell you how stupid that sounds to somebody who like is educated on this area, like myself. It's like the only way to get in shape for something is to do that something. Like, yeah, you can do some sprints, you can go jogging, you can run, and you can help your cardio, you can come in shape, and all that stuff will be great, it'll be better, but it's not going to prepare you. You can be an elite Olympic level athlete at something, and then you come in here, and one, you're probably going to be using different body systems, like to different muscles you've never even used before for the most part, for most sports, and that's going to exhaust you. Like no matter how good your cardio level is, that's going to exhaust you. And the second part is you have to get comfortable grappling. If you're just going like if you're not comfortable, you can do all the prep you want to do before you get in here. Once you get on the mat and someone grabs you a hold of you and you don't know what to do because you're brand new, you're going to get super tense. Everything you do is going to be super strong, super explosive, and you're probably going to be holding your breath the whole time. There's no training that's going to prepare you for that, to like do that and still have good cardio. It doesn't exist. It's like if you're full out 100% sprinting the whole entire time and not breathing typically, doesn't matter how good a shape you're in. Maybe you'll last 2 minutes instead of 1 minute before you gas out, but a round should be at least 5 or 6 minutes long, so it doesn't help you. The best way to do it is to do this. One, you'll get in the type of shape you need to be for jiu-jitsu specifically, and two, you'll conserve a ton of energy. It doesn't even have to do with getting in shape. It has to do with the mind, like getting comfortable, where exposure therapy, you have to get used to what this feels like. So that's a big one that I hear all the time, and I just want to look them in the face and be like, "You're an idiot. That's not how this works." But again, you can't say that stuff. I still try to tell people and tell them, and then they still pretty much never come back. All right. So those are most of the excuses. The next part is going to be, it can be an excuse, but it can be legitimate, but it's they don't know how to start. So I'm going to talk a little bit about getting started with jiu-jitsu, some of the steps you can take pre to coming in, and then once you come in. So the first one is very easy to say but hard to do, and I can say this as someone who's been doing this for 16 years. I still haven't completely conquered this, but kill your ego. Especially young dudes, and we're pretty close to Jacksonville, North Carolina, so we get Marines are usually gung-ho, and I did this. I said a little story in the last video, but I went in thinking like, I'm the shit. I'm already good. I'm gonna be good. If someone beats me, I remember thinking this way, and I still hear this a lot from young guys, is like, if he does beat me, he'll know like I was tough. I was a good fight for him, which is not the case. If you're like new and you're fighting someone legitimate, like a legitimate purple belt and up, it's gonna be easy for them, and you're not gonna do anything unless they let you do it. Maybe in the first minute or two, like purple belts, you might get ahead of them a little bit because they aren't quite seasoned yet, but like to a seasoned good black belt, a legitimate black belt, there's like nothing you can do outside of being like 280 pounds of solid muscle, 6'6", something like that. Yeah, that's like an anomaly, and maybe you can get something going there, but still probably not. You're still gonna freak out. You're still gonna blow your wad and get gassed in like a minute, especially if you're that big. It's hard for the body or the heart to pump blood through that much body when you're sprinting like that. And then more than likely, you're gonna overextend, and I would just take someone's back like that. That'd be the easiest thing. So kill your ego. Don't go in there thinking like how either you're already good or you're gonna be a tough fight, or you just want to show them like, oh, I got all this potential. I got a lot of natural potential. I'm gonna be like, I want to show them how good I'm gonna be. Like, to me, that doesn't impress me at all when someone comes in. The best way to impress me is people that literally come in with no ego, and their goal is to get technically better. The goal is not to win. The goal is to get technically better at jiu-jitsu. And I say this all the time in my academy, but just typically speaking, the females always pick it up better because they don't have all that testosterone and machismo coming in here thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna like. There's so many times I'm showing new guys stuff, and I see it in their head. They look just like I looked when I was starting. Like, yeah, I got it. And then I tell them to do it, and then like it looks like horse shit, and they're missing a ton of details, obviously. And then a girl comes in here, and they're always like, wait, what do I do? What do I do? Like they act like they don't understand anything, and then they do it technically perfect, like first or second try. So it's just a mindset. Kill the ego. Very hard to do, but the more you can go in there with the intentions of learning and getting technically better, get technically better, then the quicker you will get better. I'll just move on from there. Oh, and then so another part of that is, like, this kind of goes in. I think I mentioned this later on in my notes, but like sticking with it, like you're gonna kill yourself trying to win, and then it's just gonna be exhausting. It's gonna be too exhausting. It's gonna feel too hard the next day when you wake up and you're super sore and you're super tired. Feel like you got hit by a train, and then you don't want to come back. Like, even if you don't realize that connection, but then you're going to think about it, and the mental strain it's going to put on you. It's like, oh, I got to do that again. My neck is so sore. Like, I remember doing this when I was younger, and I was young, and like, I mean, I pretty instantly knew, like, I loved this, so it never really deterred me from, like, quitting, but it definitely deterred me from training, like, every day. Like, I would train every other day or something like that. So it's just not sustainable to train that way, especially if you're a little bit older. Like, the harder you go, the harder the training is going to be. So you have to do like regress it down, take it back a notch, and it's like taking a step backwards to go like 5 steps forward. In this case, it could be infinity steps forward, because most people will just quit if you keep going super hard. I just had a guy right now. I'm pretty sure he quit. His card declined. He came in here. He's in his 40s. He's all tatted up, like acts like a tough dude kind of deal, white belt, and then. He just didn't listen. I'm like, calm down. Like, I see he's like killing himself. He's not beating anybody, and he's just trying to go hard. Like, you could just see it by the way he looks. And then he quit showing up about two or 3 weeks about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then his next payment was supposed to come out, and it declined. So I'm pretty sure he's not coming back. But he didn't listen. He just like trained super duper hard. He just didn't listen to anything I said, just did his own thing, and then got beat up, got sore. Probably sitting at home telling himself he can't do this. So just regress it. It's just like when you learn a new, like, knees over toes guy, he's a big inspiration to me as far as like rehab and prehab, healing your body, making my body move better. Like, more like when I was younger. But anyways, he talks about regressing, and I think, like, take a movement that's supposed to be healthy for you. Try to do it. It's too hard. It took too much out of me. When I think about it, I'm like, I'm never going to do this again. It was too much. Like, it just mentally exhausts me before I even start. So I never do it again. So what do? You regress it. Make it easier. And you keep making it easier and easier and easier till it's so easy that you'll do it. If it's too hard to do it, you're just not going to do it. You're going to quit. That's just human nature for most people. So you got to regress the Jiu Jitsu. All right, so the next thing, what I would do is you work on your mindset a little bit before you go in, but you still have to go in. So I would just Google Jiu-Jitsu near me, look at the couple places near you, go through their pictures, look at their reviews, go through their pictures. If whichever one will speak to you the most, go to that place. And you can come prepared to train that night if you want, and leave all your stuff in your car, and then come in and talk to the guy and tell them you don't want to train tonight, you just want to watch and check it out. And I think I'm more of the type of, yeah, for sure, like, don't push them, just let them, like, get comfortable first. Some other people, I'm not sure who's right, some other people will be like, push, like, oh, come on, just get on the mats, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure which one's right, but you can just tell them, like, no, I don't want to train tonight, I just want to check it out if you're that nervous about it. And then maybe if it does turn out like you don't feel nervous and you do want to try it out, you still have your stuff in your car, you can just go get it. But I think how they feel, how you feel when you come in. Like, this is something I think I'm definitely working on trying to get better. But like, I'm not the most extroverted. I'm more introverted. It's just like, here, pay me the money, take the class kind of deal. Like, I'm here to teach you jiu-jitsu, but that's not the case. I've learned as a business owner is like, people aren't really here for the jiu-jitsu. That's like part of what they're here for, but you have to make them feel good. You have to make them feel welcome, make them feel like you want them here. So a good owner, instructor is going to do that type of stuff. If you don't feel great, probably not the place to be. And then you look at the kids class. That's a good one. If they have like no kids there, or if you're staying for watch the adult class and they have no one there, like, that's a pretty good sign. If you watch it and everything if it looks and feels weird and awkward, like, that's not a good sign, obviously. But so if someone checks all those boxes, one of the big things I look at, I think is super important, is cleanliness. Look at the cleanliness. Like, it's super important. I think it's super important. No, I don't think. I know it's super important. Period. Like, it should be clean. Whether people care about cleanliness or not, it should be clean. It's only a negative. It's never a positive to be dirty. Maybe you're clean and no one cares or notices it, but it's not a negative. And then the people that do notice it and appreciate it, like, that is by far an easy indicator of this is for me or this is not for me, as far as a particular place goes. Cleanliness. And then there's the business side of it, is jiu-jitsu is really prone to skin infections. All this sweating on each other, multiple people, multiple bodies sweat, different people sweat, getting on each other. It's super common to get skin infections. And if the gym is dirty and the people are dirty and people hide it or don't say nothing, or the instructor or owner just doesn't care and lets people with infections keep rolling and training, then it's going to run rampant, and then everyone gets it, and then cleaner people obviously aren't going to want to train there if they're constantly getting ringworm or staph infection. The staph infection can kill you. So cleanliness, super important. And then just the fact that if someone's not doing something as simple as cleaning, think about what else they're not doing that is needed, whether you know about it or not. Cleaning's so easy. It's so simple. It's mindless. It's a little bit of work, but it's an easy one. If they can't even keep it clean, probably, I would say, not a good place to be, personally. And then again, if you check it out and you don't like it, go to the next one on the list. Try another place out. Don't give up just because the first place you went to wasn't great. So then the next little topic in here is going to be sticking with jiu-jitsu. So a lot of people start jiu-jitsu and they have their dreams and aspirations and stuff like that. And as an owner, I'm studying this and getting better on this, but like, I have part to do with some of the people quitting too. Like, people come for something specific, and if you're not like feeding that part of what they want, there's many things you can get out of jiu-jitsu, as mentioned in the previous video. But if you're not nurturing what they actually came for, what they wanted out of jiu-jitsu, then they're going to be likely to quit. Especially like if they're just not feeling welcome, no one's really talking to them, they just come in, sit in a corner, you got to grab them, pull them out. These are the things I'm learning, like, more and more as time goes by, on how important this is. But step one is what I just talked about. You're going to have to find a good academy for you. There's many different types of academies. The first part is going to be the stuff I just mentioned, like cleanliness, if it is a good school or not. But then within all the good schools in the world, they're not all for you. Like, there's people that don't like AOJ, and like, that's a pristine, beautiful, highest level academy in the world. But if that's not what you're looking to get out of jiu-jitsu, then that's not your place. So a quick little breakdown of like the most stereotypical type of gyms out there. So I got a list of 5 or 6 different ones right here. The first one is like what I call a go hard gym. So this is going to be more for like younger dudes who want to be competitive. It's not always the smartest way of training, but if you can handle it, you'll probably get pretty good pretty quick, and you can take it to a decent level. But it's what it sounds like. It's a go hard gym. Like, every day you go in there, there's not as much emphasis on the technique. It's just about like go hard, go hard, go hard. And then through that, like, the main thing is you just get in such good shape that you can break people with like cardio. And obviously you do get better, but I think there's ways to get technically better a lot faster than that. I have a different philosophy on that. I don't think it should always be go hard. I think it should be way more technical, and then you go hard when you're preparing for a competition. But anyways, there's the go hard gym, and some people like that. Like I've had guys in here, I tell them slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, like 20-year-olds. Like nothing I say is gonna get through to them. They're just gonna keep going hard forever. So they would probably be much happier in a go hard gym. They would like it more, get more out of it, and then I'd lose $100 or whatever a month, but I also lose that liability of them injuring other students or making other students not like jiu-jitsu and quitting. So win-win to have those guys find a better fit for them. There's a like fundamental places. So this is an academy that they just stick with the super simple, basic, fundamental techniques. They're not really staying up to date with like the super modern jiu-jitsu, sport jiu-jitsu, the more artsy side. It's just like fundamentals, A, B, C, D, E. This is jiu-jitsu. This is what it does. Like super basics. And I think this can always be a good start to your jiu-jitsu journey. Maybe stay there forever, but then always getting a good foundation for your fundamentals, I think, is super important. But you can a lot of people will move on from that type of gym in the future, or they don't. They stay there. They just like that. So sport jiu-jitsu. This is my opinion that sport jiu-jitsu academies are the best option. This is obviously, that's what I am. That's what I do. So the reason I say this is a good sport academy. I don't mean a shitty sport academy. Like, I don't mean your white belts are out there trying to do inverted heel hooks and berimbolos and stuff like that. What I mean is a good one like mine. So the goal of mine is I have super strong fundamentals. The fundamentals of my jiu-jitsu are top-notch. And that's what I want all my white belts focused on, is fundamentals. And then still a lot at blue belt. But like I said in the other video, there's the art side of jiu-jitsu, there's the fun aspect of the jiu-jitsu, there's the non-self-defense aspect of jiu-jitsu, all the other things you can get out of jiu-jitsu that you can't really get if you're stuck in a gym that only does the fundamentals. So, and then most of those gyms, they'll actually like look down on and like kind of talk shit to you if you're trying to do sporty stuff. So it's not a good environment. If that's what you want to do, move on. And like I mentioned in another video, is you want to, like, I don't need to do the same basic fundamentals for 16 years now. Like, I don't need that. My fundamentals are solid. I would put them up against anyone who just does fundamentals. I would still put my fundamentals up against them, and I know I'd be perfectly fine, if not better, to be completely honest. But I'm learning, like, that gets boring after a while. Like, you want to keep it fun, you want to keep it artsy. And right now I'm thinking about this isn't even in my notes, but it kind of reminds me of this little story that Alex Hormozy talked about. It was a little story about, they took two classes, and it was like a pottery vase making class, something like that. So they took two groups. They took one group and they said, here, spend the entire semester and make one vase. Make it the best you can do, the most amazing one thing. This is like your masterpiece. This is what you do. And they took the other group and they said, make as many vases as you can make within the time. They didn't care about the quality at all, just make it. The numbers, all they wanted was quantity. And like, I don't always believe a quantity versus over quality. I'm definitely a quality guy. But in this instance, this scenario, the group that made more vases not only made more, but they made them better. They got more reps and more reps and more reps, and they got better. And I think it's like very similar to the jiu-jitsu. Like, if you just keep doing the super basic fundamentals, I think there's more to. I think my fundamentals. This is why I think my fundamentals would probably be better than someone that only does fundamentals. Is I like the other stuff has added to my fundamentals. I've learned so much more. Like, when you're trying to make a berimbolo work, like, you learn so much more about every little inch you need to move, every single little angle to make it work, or it just won't work. So this is why I think sport is the best version. And like I said in the other video, if I get in a street fight with somebody who's never trained before, or they're like some basic fundamental blue belt or something like that, like, is it going to be hard for me to beat them because I worked on berimbolos? No, it's going to be super easy. There's a self-defense types of academies. They stick to also simple basic stuff, fundamentals, but they'll add in, like, they try to make it like real life scenarios, like what if they punch you here, what if they grab your throat here, what if they do this, which can be good if that's what you're interested in. Again, I'm not that worried about that scenario. But they also add in like gun and knife defense and stuff like that. I'm not super educated on that to make a fully informed opinion, but it's my opinion at this point that, like, I don't know, I think that's pretty stupid. I think it's just very unrealistic. And then the last one that I got on here is like the hangout type of gym. So these are the type of gyms where it's like, it's way more about the friendship. It's the jiu-jitsu is like more of like the second product. It's way more about the, like, come on guys, we can do this, like having a group, having friends, people complimenting you, people telling you what you want to hear, making you feel good. In my opinion, I don't like that. That's just the type of person I am. I think it's kind of cringe personally, but I see the value in it for sure. Because like I said, I think everyone should be doing jiu-jitsu, and if that's what it takes to get you to do jiu-jitsu, then I mean, by all means, like, join that type of gym. They'll help keep you motivated. I'm way more of like a self-motivated type of person. If you need me telling you constantly like good job and messaging you and telling you how to come in and stuff like that, like, I don't know, I'm probably not the guy for you. But again, like I said, that's better, way better than not training jiu-jitsu at all. And it doesn't even mean they'll have bad jiu-jitsu. But so that's the main, like, types of gyms out there that I've seen. And after you find a good fit, so you started training, you're getting into it, and we're talking about sticking with jiu-jitsu. So you have to remember in the beginning, like anything you do in life, when you're new to something, you're horrible, and the learning curve is straight up. You learn so much so fast, and like, it's super fun. It feels like you're making good progress because you are. And those are, like, in lifting, they call them newbie gains. Like, you get super strong compared to where you started super fast. But you have to remember, like, that's going to end. That's going to fade away. And then it comes the more hard work, like sticking with it. Just don't get down on yourself. Like, it shouldn't even be a concern. Like, just know if you do anything in life, especially anything hard, like, there's going to be ups and downs. That's just part of it. That's how it works. Anything worth doing is going to be hard. Talked about that in other videos. But also, if you need that type of motivation to get you through it, just remember this: after every slump comes a peak. So every time I've ever had like a slump in jiu-jitsu, then when I come out of it, I'm like, bam, I hit a new level. And then that's the best feeling in the world, when you hit a new level. You beat someone maybe you've never beat before. You tap your first X belt that's above you or something like that. Your first time tapping a brown belt when you were a blue belt or something like that. So just remember that. Get a good warm-up every time you train. So this shouldn't be an issue at a good academy. Like, I make my guys do warm-ups every single day before we drill. Then we drill, which is more warming up, and then we get to the rolling. So if your instructor doesn't do that, you're just like, come on, get on the mat, and then you just kind of like lazily get through the technique and stuff. There's a good chance you're going to get injured when you start rolling if you're not properly warmed up, especially the older you are. And then if you're the type of person that wants to show up late to skip the warm-ups, show up late to skip half the technique, and then you just want to be the type that likes to roll all the time, I think that's stupid personally. Like, why don't you want to get technically better? But anyways, there's those people, like, again, less warm-up, more likely to get injured. Injuries lead to taking time off, having breaks, going through lots of pain, and a lot of time lead to people quitting. So lifting, if you can incorporate some lifting into your life, that will help you with jiu-jitsu. And I don't mean because you'll get stronger, I mean because it's like very body protective. Being strong and muscular, it's like your muscles are basically like your armor. It's how you protect your body. So lifting will help your longevity in jiu-jitsu. And then if you're smart, or if your schedule allows it, you'll lift earlier in the day and then train later in the day. After a break, you need a break, but if you come into jiu-jitsu already pre-exhausted, pre-tired, it's going to slow you down a lot more than if you come in full force, and that's going to help you be more technical, more conservative, which is better for jiu-jitsu. And then if you do it the other way, then usually you're so exhausted from jiu-jitsu, you will talk yourself out of even going to lift. So I found that lifting first in the day is much better for me than trying to do it after training. So another one, how to stick with it. It's that simple. Just do it. Show up. Just show up. If like just like lifting weights, if once you lose those newbie gains or you lose that initial momentum, the funness, and it starts turning into work, just show up. Get in your car, drive to the academy, walk through the door, and then the rest will take care of itself. Just get there. Just get there, and then you'll get past it. I promise. Eventually, it becomes a habit. Like I don't even think about lifting anymore. I just go. I used to be like, fuck, I don't want to go to the gym today. I think about it, and I think about my feelings and how I feel, and most of the time I would talk myself out of it. And now it's become such a habit. I broke past that barrier, and there's no conversation in my brain. It's just I get up and I go. The only time there's any conversation is when I'm actually worn out and need the break, and then my body will tell me, and I'll listen to my body, but that's pretty rare. Tapping often. So this goes right along with killing your ego. Like it happens all the time. Someone goes way harder than you wanted to go, so you ramp it up. Or you don't like somebody on a personal level and you're rolling with them, so you just cannot lose to them. So you just don't tap, and then bam, something pops, you're injured, now you're out for a couple months, and you probably don't come back. And especially the newer you are, the less likely you are to come back. So just tap often. It's all ego. Get over that. Get rid of it. Just remember that most people quit. So even if this guy taps you right now, just know that if you stick with it, he'll probably quit. And then if you were to ever run into him in a street fight, or he decides to come back in a couple of years, then you're going to mop the floor with him. It's going to be super easy. Try to look at it that way. Like, the more you can train, the better you get. So if you're injured, you can't train, you're not getting good. If you're not getting good, you're getting worse. If you don't really, nothing in life I've found, you don't sit there. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So just kill the ego, tap when you need to tap. Just get it over with. Start your training when you're new with the bottom. Start playing guard, the bottom position, not the top position. So, as mentioned earlier with the other martial arts, the takedown part, that's the highest risk area in Jiu Jitsu, your highest risk for injuries. So you completely get over that. There's no risk of that. You just get past it and you're done. And most people, especially beginners, want to be on top. So if you want to be on top, you're going to have to fight for it. That's when you get exhausted. That's when you're at high risk of injuries, stuff like that. So just start on bottom. No one can stop you from starting on bottom. If you both set on bottom, then you can just come right on top and start playing the top. Most of the time, especially at the low level, they're not going to set on bottom. So you just start playing guard. And then, so that's from like health and longevity and sticking with it point of view. But as far as jiu-jitsu, I can tell you as a black belt who's been training over 16 years, it's just better to start with the bottom anyways. That's a whole separate video. We'll get into that later on. But just know from a technical point of view, it's smarter to start on your back. Just get started with that, kind of get into it, and basically for a lot of people, get that over with. Get a decent foundation for bottom. So start your training, start rolling with higher belts. So this one sounds very counterintuitive to most people when they start. But again, that's because one, they think they're going to get hurt because it's fighting. And two, their goal is to win, and they think they're less likely to win, which is true. But as I've mentioned multiple times, the goal is not to win. The goal is to get better, get technically better at jiu-jitsu. If you can keep that in your head, you'll make it through jiu-jitsu. But so if you go with you're brand new and you go with a brand new guy, it's going to be like, try not to say a bad word, but it's going to be like just two dummies out there rolling around, scrambling, elbows and knees flying everywhere, super high chance of injury. Yeah, you might be the one that wins. It's like 50-50 at that point, but you're probably going to get injured. But if you grab a higher belt, then like you can do whatever you want, and I'm just going to chill and do my thing. I'll make sure you don't hurt me in the process, but I'm going to just kind of relax and just deal with it, let you blow your wad, and then I'll take over. And then if you're smart enough to not be going crazy and actually trying to get better and learn, I'm not just going to sit there and crush you. I'm going to let you work, especially if you're trying the stuff that I taught that day. That's my favorite. Like, apply what I showed you. I'm going to let you work and figure it out, and you'll have your first rep on that move while live rolling. So it's just grab a higher belt. It just makes so much more sense. Again, your goal is not to win. Your goal is to get better. You're going to get way better with a higher belt than going 100% trying to beat another new guy. So this one's kind of hard to do as a new person, but I'm going to say, like, start with a slower style. So within Jiu Jitsu, there's like slow, isometric, heavy pressure games, strong grip, slower games, and then there's like super fast grip switching, jumping around, athletic. It's very hard, but try to focus on the slower style. Like, speed will come once you're better, but it's just a lot safer to start with the slower pressure style. And I'll make a whole video about this, but my arguments about why the slower pressure version is better, period, for everybody. I think that's the way to be. I'm going to make a video on that in the future. But like everyone, it's just your instinct. It's just human instinct. Go out there 100%, sprint, squeeze, super tense, as hard as you can. Like, you'll even see like 250-pound fat, like 40-something-year-old dads, their first time doing anything athletic in years, and they're out there like going 100%. Like, I get it, I understand it, but if you stop and think about it, it makes no sense. Like, you really think you're going to outpace this 20-year-old? Your heart's going to last, your cardio is going to last long enough to beat him that way? It's just instincts, people going on their instincts. Figure out who not to roll with. That's a big one. If you have those like I mentioned earlier, the guys that should be at go hard gyms, but they're training at a more technical type of gym, and they're just not going to learn. They're going to go super hard every time. Like, learn to avoid those guys. So, like, if they ask you to roll and you don't want to, just say no. It's that easy. Just say no. If you do end up rolling with them, kill your ego. Tap, 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 tap. Don't get mad. Don't try to match their pace. Do your jiu-jitsu and you'll get tapped more. Who cares? Move on. You got tapped more. Who cares? You're not hurt. You get to keep training. Another thing is, tap often. If everything they do scares you, like you're about to get injured, just keep tapping. Like, it becomes like they'll get the feeling like they're beating a puppy. Like, that's not fun. Unless you're some sicko, it's not fun to just beat the shit out of somebody who knows nothing. There's been times where someone did something to piss me off, and they knew they pissed me off, and I wanted to beat the shit out of them, and then they just kind of like go into fetal position and don't do anything. And even though I'm pissed, I still can't beat the shit out of them because, like, I feel bad. Like, what? This ain't fun. You're just laying there taking everything. Like, fight back. It'd feel way better to beat the shit out of you when you're fighting, trying to beat me. So you can take that approach too. Just multiple taps. And if they're like, why do you keep tapping so fast? Be like, because you're going fucking crazy and I feel like you're going to hurt me. Like, just tell them. Tell them everything that you're thinking. Say it to them so they can learn. That's the problem in jiu-jitsu, is like those guys, they never really hear it from people. Most people are too nice to say no or tell them what the problem is. They're just like, oh, it's fine. Just tell them. They have to learn. And then I will also, as the instructor, if you have a good instructor, like, if I see someone lining up with someone who's like a go hard guy, I'm like, nope, you guys are not rolling. Like, find someone else. Like, the higher belt who goes crazy should know that, and they do know that, but they like that easy prey a lot of times. So I stopped that. I shut that down right away. All right, so a good way to stick with jiu-jitsu is don't do dumb stuff. So the main thing that comes to mind when I think of doing dumb stuff is when a lower belt is rolling with a higher belt. So if I'm a black belt and you're a white belt, or even worse, a blue belt, because you should know by then, but if you know how good I am, and you know that you've never even come remotely close to passing my guard, and I'm going so calm and easy, and I'm just laying there, and you pass my guard, like, stop and think for a second. Is this Worlds? Is this the final of Worlds where you need to go fucking crazy and try to rip my head off or choke my face or something like that when I clearly just let you pass my guard to let you work? That's stupid. If you start doing anything that's painful and non-technical to me when I'm being nice and letting you work, then I'm gonna beat the shit out of you in a legal way. Like, I'm not gonna hurt you. Every time you tap, I'll let go right away. But like, I'm gonna put it on you. And to be honest, when people piss me off, I don't tap them out. Tapping them out gives them a release. It gets them out of the bad spot. It gets them to a neutral spot where they can try to piss me off some more. So I don't tap people. I put you in bad spots and crush you and make your life miserable, and you get to suffer for the rest of the round until the round's over. So that's dumb. If someone's letting you work, don't go crazy. Just try to be technical. And then the other side of that is like, it always blew my mind. Like, all right, I'm sitting there, laying there, being easy, let you pass my guard, let you take my back, get in a good spot, and you've been calm the whole time, and then you basically punch me with your bicep, cross-facing me from the back, and try to choke my head off like your life depends on it after we were just going super chill. Let's say you did get the tap. Let's say you got me and I couldn't get out and I tapped. What did you learn? Did you learn that you got better and now you can pass my guard and take my back and choke me out? Or did you just start in a very advantageous position that I let you have, and then you like took my niceness and ran with it and did something shitty? Like, it doesn't mean you're better than me in any way, shape, or form. And then that's somewhere where my ego is not under control. Like, I'm going to let them pop my neck or whatever, and I'm going to get out without tapping, and then I'm going to beat the shit out of them. That's just the way it is. I can't get that part of my ego gone, I guess. At least not at this age. Yeah, so that's all I got for this. In conclusion, I think basically everyone, obviously there's a few instances out there where people just cannot do jiu-jitsu. That's understandable. Find something though. Find a passion. Find an instrument. Just do something. That's my personal opinion on that. But basically, almost everyone can train jiu-jitsu, and they should. And if you follow the advice and the stuff outside of just like not being a lazy piece of shit, then you can do some jiu-jitsu, and you can stick with it too. And this will just make it a lot easier on you. It will make it easier to stick with it, and you'll get so much more out of jiu-jitsu than you'd ever even imagine is possible to get from it if you stick with it and put the time in. But yeah, so feel free, leave some comments. Please like and subscribe if you do see this. If you got some good excuses, please leave them in the comment section. I'd like to hear them, and I'd like to rip them apart if they are garbage. But don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this long form content, which is based around jiu-jitsu, but I think this is more like some life lesson type stuff. It doesn't have to pertain just to jiu-jitsu. And share with your friends, please. I'm trying to grow this page. I got 10 subscribers right now. And then the Jiu Jitsu Institute, my academy, it's where I'm at right now. We got a YouTube page also, the Jiu Jitsu Institute. Please like and subscribe there. Thanks.